Welcome aboard, everybody. We had something interesting happen in the Atlantic Ocean this week. If you remember, we had a Category 5 hurricane, Humberto, which had 160-mile-an-hour winds. And Humberto was well off the coast, a lot of swell, of course, and you may have seen some of the homes that collapsed. The ocean, basically, the swells taking them back along the coast of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Which they've been dealing with over the past, it's been some years for sure, but I think they lost another 5 or 6 homes just due to the swell from a hurricane that was well off the coast. And in addition to that, we had another hurricane form up called Imelda, and she might just about run over Bermuda here in a little while. But the interesting part of it is that something called the Fujiwara Effect. And we don't see it all that often, but it does happen. It's when two storms get within, 1,000 miles or so of each other, they can actually interact. They can change the movement of each of those. Dr. Fujiwara figured this out back in the 1920s. Believe it or not, in Japan, he was a researcher. So we call it the Fujiwara effect after Dr. Fujiwara, and basically it's when you have these two tropical cyclones or hurricanes, and one's usually a little stronger than the other, and that means that several things could happen. You could have an absorption of one into the other. You could have where they orbit around each other, and that's sort of what we just saw, and I'm going to show you a satellite image of that, and you can see the effect. So one basically affects the motion of the other cyclone, and they can at times again rotate around each other. So, and they could also potentially even merge. We've seen all of those things happen. So what exactly did happen in this scenario? Well, let's take a look and you could decide for yourself. Okay, so here is the infrared satellite imagery. We have Humberto on the right and Imelda on the left. And you can definitely see that there was an interaction. You can almost see that they wanted to rotate around each other. What happened here, again, follow Humberto on the right as he kind of starts to curve to the left, right? Curves to the west, which was very interesting. And then a big cold front basically swept in and picked Humberto up and more or less just shoved him off into the northeast Atlantic, I should say. So yeah, there was definitely some interaction there. They certainly didn't rotate around each other, but they certainly did influence each other in terms of their track. And that could make hurricane forecasting quite tricky. The other interesting thing to note, at least as a surfer, was that we had tropical swell here from a hurricane that was off of the west coast, off of Baja, and the east coast also had hurricane swell. So kind of a rare event in terms of that as well. So kind of neat here in the tropics. As we said, hurricane, the peak of hurricane season usually is around September 11th in the Atlantic. And this year we didn't have any activity around that time, but it sure has fired up quite a bit here in the last week, and we'll see what the rest of the season brings. Of course, we still got another month or so at least to go.